Hello, everyone. Welcome back to RagingElephants.org. I'm Apostle Claver T. Kamau-Imani. We're doing a special Tax Day video just for you. April 15th, the day that lives in tyranny. That's exactly what we have. You know, FDR is the day that lives in infamy. That was just one day. And every year in our lives as American citizens, as long as everybody that's been alive, that is alive looking at this video right now, April 15th has been a day of tyranny, a day when the government literally by force causes us to violate our Fourth and our Ninth Amendment rights. And I come to you today to say that it's time for us to end the tyranny of the income tax, the unlawfulness, the unconstitutional income tax. We got to stop it. There's nowhere in the Constitution that gives our government the right to tax the wages and labor of its citizens. The income tax is utterly unconstitutional. In fact, any mention in statute of the income tax actually says that it is voluntary, that it's not compulsory. So many of us, we the citizens, are unaware of this. Through intimidation, through the force of tyranny, the threat of taking away, confiscating the possessions, the wealth that we've worked so hard for, or our parents or grandparents worked so hard for and passed down to us. The government freely takes away that from us. And I think that it is absolutely the road of totalitarianism. We have to stop it. We have to stop it. We have to stop it now. We have to stop it in our lifetime. And we're the generation that can do it. It has to begin by educating the electorate, the population, that April 15th can be just like any other day of the year. We have to stop it. We have to educate the electorate that over 1/3 of their work year, all that money that they earn is actually dedicated to the federal government. We have to stop it. We have to stop it right now because we have to educate the electorate about what the true word liberty really means, choice. And that when I don't have a choice in the matter, then I am a subject to tyranny. We are subjects of tyranny because we have no choice when, how, or where we pay our taxes when it comes to the income tax. It is tyranny, and it can only be called that, tyranny. I'm going to ask you to become active in seeing the Internal Revenue Service, the Federal Reserve, to see these two entities that are not constitutional to be ended here in America. I believe that our elected officials need to be held accountable. Legislation should be introduced in an unending way until the Internal Revenue Service and the Federal Reserve no longer exist in this country. They go against the very fiber of this nation's creation and the revolution in which so many lives were given for us and our freedoms. It's time for us to link arm in arm, to come together as a phalanx and come against the government and say quite earnestly, quite frankly, and without any equivocation, the government is our servant. We are not the property or the serfs of the government, as many of them feel that we are at this very moment. It's going to take courage. It's going to take some of us actually sacrificing our liberty in order for the cause of liberty. But I'm calling you to be a patriot. I'm calling for the spirit of 1776 to rise up once again. I don't believe the spirit of 1776 has been completely snuffed out. I have said in front of hundreds of you, even on this day as we celebrate the tea parties of this year, and I go to several of these locations, I believe that even on this day, the spirit of 1776 is alive, that it will not be snuffed out, that it's being resurrected, revived, and that those very principles that allowed this nation to be founded, that allowed people to go to their deaths for it, it's still here. I don't think it's been completely snuffed out. And I believe that if we come together in the spirit of 1776, that this tyranny that we're finding ourselves having to adhere to on this April 15th, that this tyranny will stop. We will defeat it. We will no longer allow our government to do this to us, the people who are supposed to have the power, not the government. There's some actions that I want you to take. And these actions that I'm calling you to are very simple. Number one, I think that as electorates and citizens of this country, we need to re-embrace the primary system. It's not over yet. We haven't lost all of our liberties. I still have the freedom to come to you by this technology video and speak my mind, relatively free of the fear of retribution by the government. There still are some First Amendment rights that are left in this country. We still have some vestiges of the Bill of Rights that still exist in this country. And so I say to you, let's begin by embracing, once again, in our elections, the primary system. That when we don't have politicians that agree with the principles of the Constitution and continue to enact laws that are continually abridging our God-given liberty, that we find other representatives and run against those that are not holding up to the values, the tenets of the Constitution. Re-embrace the primary system. It may not be someone who has a lot of business experience, a lot of political experience, came up through some sort of political form system, but it may be someone who, to the core of their heart, to the depths of their very existence, believe in that Constitution and the tenets that it represents and want to go up to Washington or Austin or wherever your state capital is and make sure that laws are enacted to reverse the totalitarianism that's coming down the political turnpike. Number one, let's re-embrace our primary system. Let's fight the power of incumbency when you have those in office, regardless of political party, that are standing against the founding principles of this country. Number two, we do not want anyone on the ballot anymore that is not in favor of a repeal of the 16th Amendment. First of all, it is questionable whether or not the 16th Amendment was even ratified by the states of the Union. And it's also questionable, it's so vague and ambiguous whether or not it actually gives the government the ability to tax the labors and wages of its citizens is usually in doubt. We know that there's been court law that says the 16th Amendment does not give the government the power to tax labor and wages. Corporate tax, indeed, is constitutional, but upon the income or the wages and labor of the people, there is nowhere in the Constitution, nowhere in statutes that allows the government to do that. So, first, we must re-embrace the primary system. Second, we must put candidates on the ballot, mandate of them that part of their campaign platform that they must say the 16th Amendment must be repealed. On their platforms, they must say that they are in favor of dismantling the Internal Revenue Service. No candidates on the ballot anymore unless they are in favor of dismantling the Internal Revenue Service. Also, no candidates on the platform, on the ballot anymore who doesn't have within their platform that they want to shut down the Federal Reserve. They want to put the Federal Reserve out of business. And finally, after we've put these candidates on the ballot, elected them to office, hold them accountable. If they do not introduce legislation, pass legislation, repealing the 16th Amendment, dismantling the Internal Revenue Service, and putting that private corporation, the Federal Reserve, out of business, then we find somebody else to run against them and we put them out of business. Thank you for your attention. I'm Apostle Claver T. Kamau-Imani.